Appreciate your time. I got to start off by saying this is being recorded. We're trying something new for people who couldn't make it for various reasons. This is being recorded. It may be online, so be on your best behavior. Again, camera point this way, you're all safe, but just I have to tell everybody that. I have a new hunting policy that is not quite signed. It's floating on somebody's desk, but that should be out. We'll upload it to Sportsman as soon as possible. We'll go over a couple of the changes to that, just a few minor updates and edits. We got a new hunting map. Everybody should have a copy of that. A few changes to that as well that we'll go over in a little bit. And then, again, nothing huge change-wise, just hopefully some improvements, small improvements to the program. And we'll roll through some of the typical safety stuff and hopefully get everybody out here to recreate the rest of the evening. I'm John Allen, Natural Resource Manager here. Been at Fort Gregg-Adams for a little over 8 years, serving in this role for a little over 2 years, I think now, 3 years. I'm not good at that, but yeah. So again, it's a pleasure meeting the new faces. Glad to see returning hunters. Some of y'all have been hunting here longer than I've been alive. I'm not going to look at anybody in particular, but Billy. This is Shannon Scully. She's a wildlife biologist. Y'all interact with her more than me usually. She is responsible for a lot of the cool data that we're going to go over, the map updates, all the volunteer coordination. That's all thanks to her. So make sure you give her a shout out. Okay, all right. This is informal. We're all peers and hunters here. Look, I'm just the one standing up. So if you got a question, you can interrupt me at any time. Just raise your hand. You know, if you got a complaint, you save that to the end. All right, that's that table. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, questions, clarifications, you can bring it up anytime. All right, DMAP tags. We'll start with that since we were doing stuff at sign in. I convinced the state to combine the range and the cantonment herds into one. So it's just going to be one herd. You don't have to have two jawbone boards in the skinning shed anymore. DMAP tags are good anywhere on Fort Gregg-Adams property. So that'll be a slight change, hopefully for the better. Just simplify things. You don't got to try to remember which area to mark on your tags. Again, just streamlining that. It's more of a change on our end than yours. Again, yours just everything's one system now. But with that said, the DMAP lottery, we'll do that right at the end of this meeting. We'll draw the names. We don't have the tags yet. They have not mailed them to us. We're a little earlier than last year with this meeting, which again, it's good to get this out of the way, but the state hadn't sent the tags out. So the winners will get their tags when they come in. We'll just have a sign-in sheet at the skinning shed or somewhere. We'll work out the logistics, but we figured we'd go ahead and get them raffled off now to the people that were present. Again, we appreciate your attendance. We're going to reward you for that. Bow fall. We just had one today. There are 2 remaining. August 21st, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and September 7th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right, those are the 2 scheduled bow qualifications remaining. Please try to get in if you plan to hunt with any type of vertical bow or crossbow. You have to shoot a bow call to get that added to your iSportsman authorization so you can bow hunt on post. So please make time to do that. If you are hit by a bus and can't physically make it to either of those, you can try to schedule a one-on-one bow call after those dates. Get with Shannon and try to work out a time at her convenience. But yeah, please don't put that off until the night before opening day and expect us to accommodate you. That ain't how this works. All right, I'm gonna skip to geese real quick. If you have never driven around the post, I'm gonna surprise you. We got a lot of geese this year. We didn't have many in the spring, so we didn't do a roundup. So every year or two, we do a federally licensed goose roundup, and we euthanize lots and lots of geese in the summertime when they're molting. They can't fly. We just round them up in nets. We didn't do that because, again, in May when we were scouting, there were very few geese, mainly just out by the swamp, not many in the cantonment. But man, they've come out of the woodwork. So we're going to encourage everybody to goose hunt this year and shoot a lot of geese. I'm just going to throw that plug in there. Hopefully we can encourage some resident goose harvest. All right, deer population. That's what everybody's really here about, right? Great, quick show of hands. Who waterfowl hunts in here? Just for my own personal benefit, okay. All right, excellent, good. We like to see that. All right, Shannon, you want to talk about deer numbers?
Yes. Okay. So again, this meeting is a little earlier than usual. It means I'm not that far into my deer camera survey. I don't have a lot of results to report to you guys. But my guess is from historical data and the trends that we've seen in the past is this year, since we had such a good harvest last year, we had 77 deer harvested on Potomac and the range. This year's probably going to be less than that. But that's okay. I will say that the range is definitely where you're going to want to go if you're looking for something super special. Because I've heard, as I do every year, rumors of these big bucks that are traipsing around over there. So, if you're looking for something special, go there. If you're looking for deer meat, then Potomac's looking fine. In the camera photos that I've seen so far, there's a lot of doe wandering around, tons of fawn as well. So, that being said, just because we have the deer here on Potomac and it's more general deer meat, that does not mean shoot anything you see. We are going to have a minimum weight limit of 60 this year because so many fawn were taken last year. I think about 22% of the harvest on Potomac was fawns. So we've upped our weight limit. If you shoot something that's less than 60, then you're going to have an automatic week suspension, okay? Just to keep your expectations up for Potomac, just be aware. You gotta know what you're shooting. If it looks small, don't shoot it. If it looks like it's got spots, don't shoot it. If it looks like it's got a small head, don't shoot it. Just be safer with your membership to this hunting program. I don't want to have to suspend anyone. Officer Jones doesn't want to have to suspend anyone, especially for killing a fawn. What else? That's about all I've got for the herd right now. Just based on what I have in my data so far.
All right. Reports from the field may vary, but there are some big bucks left on the cantonment. So I'll throw a plug in there. During some of our field work this spring, this is 2 separate bucks, both found in April of this year. These were fresh sheds when I picked them up. Didn't find the matches to either one, but I think a notice went out through Sportsman last year that a nice 10-pointer had been spotted. Well, he definitely survived, and so did his twin brother apparently. So both of these deer are still alive and well. We found several other matching sets of sheds this spring. So again, there are some bucks still in the cantonment. These were both in a hunting area, by the way. So just again, let a few of these walk by. You'll see more of these and these. All right, just gonna throw that out there. All right. Some clarifications on regulations, the policy, the nitty-gritty. Youth permits. This mirrors the state hunting license law. So hunters under the age of 16 are free. They don't need for Gregg-Adams hunting permit, right? They are just going to be your guests. A licensed, permitted adult has to take them with them, sign an Sportsman, include them as a guest, but they don't have to have their own $150 permit. 16 and up has to have their own permit in Sportsman in addition to their state license. That lets them make their own reservation. So you're bringing your child, they can make their own reservation if they're over 16 or 16 or over. They can hunt on their own with archery equipment. Firearms, they have to be physically with an adult, 16, 17, 18. Again, that's just to mirror the state law. Authorized guests. So this is it's a clarification more than change, but we'll go with change. So every authorized hunter, that's been defined in the policy for years as active duty military, retired military, current DA civilian employees, all the standard, the usual suspects, if you will. They're automatically allowed to join the program. They can sponsor one guest per license year. So in Virginia, the license year is July 1 to June 30. So any existing hunter in the program in good standing or any authorized hunter can sponsor one new guest into the program that does not have to be one of those categories. It can be any general civilian outside the post. As long as they meet the requirements for base access, then they can be sponsored in by a current hunter in good standing, right? One per year. That sponsored guest gets one probationary year to hunt under the influence of their sponsor. The sponsor is responsible for their actions that entire year. If the guest has any safety or check-in, check-out violations during that year, they're out. All right, they're out of the program. Depending on what that infraction is, the sponsor may have some consequences as well. Because again, you are responsible for your guest, even if they're hunting the next area over. Look, that's on you. Make sure they know where they're going. Make sure they know what they're doing. So at face value, it has been asked, wasn't this going to flood the program with new members? Well, look, it's up to y'all who comes in here. So don't sponsor anybody that you wouldn't want representing your name and potentially ruining the hunting program for everybody, right? That's my personal disclaimer, right? Nobody gets to join this program without you letting them as a guest. So, but that was clarified in the policy, just that you get one per year. After 1 year in good standing, that guest becomes an authorized hunter, right? So they're added to the program at that point. They don't need a sponsor that second, third year. So, you know, if they're a benefit to the program, we want them here. If they're not, they're gone. That's how we're going to do it. All right, clarification on squirrel and rabbit hunting. We actually have some interest in squirrel hunting, you know, for whatever reason. So instead of a blanket disallowance, as in last year specifically, this year, if squirrel season is concurrent with deer season, you may shoot squirrels out of your tree stand. So the same height restrictions, weapon restrictions in an area apply, but hey, help yourself. You know, we got plenty of squirrels. I welcome you to shoot all 6 you can in a day. Just wanted to clarify that since it was asked last year. Please shoot all the squirrels. Just do it safely and in accordance with all the same rules that apply to deer hunting. All right. I mentioned the DMAP stuff, so range cantonment are one. You don't got to keep that separate for people who haven't hunted here before. There were 2 different areas in the skinning shed. You had to maintain your jawbones on deer that were killed. And it was twice as much reporting on our end to the state. So now we're all just one big happy family. Hopefully that prevents some confusion about what jawbones go where and tags and all that. Same as always, just want to reiterate, no fur bearers are allowed to be harvested here. Fox, bear, bobcat. We do not have an authorization to harvest any of those. Coyotes are nuisance species. Kill all of them. As long as you're doing it the same criteria as your deer hunting, from your stand with an authorized weapon. You can't check those in to iSportsman if you're signed in deer or turkey hunting. So just send somebody, Shannon or I, an email or text or call or whatever. Just let us know you killed one. We want to high five you and log in our data, just so we can track the populations. But please, shoot all the coyotes you want. Everything else gets a pass. All right, somebody just asked me this a while ago. Clarification on hunting from a portable stand, such as a climbing stand, when there is a furnished stand available in that hunting area or a designated tree. You know, so there's a sign that says stand 12A is this tree, but there's no provided stand. You can hunt in your climber anywhere within 20 yards of that tree or that furnished stand. So if there's a tower stand and you don't like that particular stand, it's uncomfortable, it's hard for you to get in and out of, you can hunt out of a climber the tree next to it. 20-yard radius, all right? So don't make us come out there and measure. Hopefully everybody can pace off 20 yards or ranges or whatever. Don't get carried away with it. With that being said, all other safety buffers still apply. So that 20 yards, if it puts you within 100 yards of a road or a dwelling or a property line, you got to come back, all right? So we try to give all of our furnished stands enough buffer to where this is possible, but you know, some of them are pretty tight to housing areas or roads. So that 100-yard buffer of all buildings, paved roads, doesn't apply to gravel roads out on the range complex, but those, any paved roads, buildings, property lines, again, please use your lifelong common sense and safety knowledge to make a good judgment there. Same weapon restrictions apply, all that, but you may use a climber next to a furnace stand. Clear that up. The boat locks for the duck blind provided boats. They're combo locks, same as last year. Last year there was some reports maybe in really inclement weather they would freeze up. We have not solved that with some kind of cover yet for those locks. The next generation of locks, hopefully they'll come with something, but for now, just be prepared with a cigarette lighter or a pack of hot hands or something, so if you're going out in a sleet storm and that combo lock is frozen up, you have a way to melt that ice, clean it off. They will work, just be prepared for that if you're one of those bad weather waterfowl hunters. The boat locks can be picky during cold, wet weather. Just be aware. The combo for those is in the skinning shed in the key box. Same with the keys to the Bull Hill Road and the ordnance gates. Skinning shed, key box, any new personnel that need help, feel free to grab somebody after this. We can show you, give you a grand tour. So ordnance, the 3 ordnance sections, which really are just 2 gates, and then the Bull Hill Road stands. Those are the only places that require physical keys now. Alright, so some good news now, some habitat improvement work. Out on the range, we've done some forestry mulching. That's a big machine that kind of just grinds down small trees and underbrush. I don't know the entire acreage that's been completed out there, but some pretty substantial areas. I think I made a note of where that was. J South and C North. Those have been thinned out, so a little better visibility if nothing else. Hopefully the sunlight reaching the forest floor improves vegetation growth, so you have more food source. I won't geek out too much on forest management, but we do have a hard time here because of the training tempo, harvesting timber. We'd love to be able to go in and cut timber, but it's just not possible a lot of times. So this was a good alternative to get in there for a few days and just mulch down some trees. Again, provide a little better visibility, better food potential for deer, turkeys. So check those areas out. The G West wildlife plot. Some of you saw last hunting season. It was planted in oats and crimson clover last fall. About 7 acres, kind of on the far northwestern corner up there. That is going to be expanded east into, I guess, G North, so back towards the tower stand. That next field over, it's about another 6 acres there, 6 or 8 acres that we're going to expand that same planting. We'll be managing it more for quail habitat, but guess what? Deer and turkeys love the same stuff that most quail love, so just be able to look out for that. There'll be some changes in the vegetation up there throughout the season, probably throughout the fall. The 3 cantonment food plots are going to get planted again here probably the next few weeks. So no changes there. We've got a pretty good seed blend, so hopefully it'll be something green and delicious all season. All right, iSportsman stuff. Those who were there at the postseason meeting this past January, February, whatever it was, we talked about changing from iSportsman to a different software, possibly. iSportsman came back with a new contract price, thanks to some negotiations with IMCOM. Our price to run iSportsman dropped by 50% this year. So that's a huge win. People had talked about raising permit fees for a year or 2. We didn't want to do that, but we were in the red year after year. So as of right now, if our 100 levels stay the same as last year, we're in the black. We're good. iSportsman shouldn't be changing for you anytime soon. At least this season, you're good. So that's a good thing. We'll call that a win. Nobody has to learn a new program right before hunting season. We were all a little nervous about that, but if we do have new hunters, we got money that covers more than our iSportsman costs, that goes right back into habitat work. So our food plot seed, fertilizer, forest thinning work, again, all those things, new locks if they suck, again, that money specifically goes right back into the hunting program. That's per Army regs. So again, don't think that we're like going drinking on the weekends with your permit money. I'm sure that's not the case. But again, I mentioned that after the season meeting where some of this stuff was discussed. We welcome everybody to attend that. I know some of you weren't here, some of you had other commitments, but that's the meeting where we can implement changes. So if you come to us the day before the season starts, well, I think we need to change this and this. That ship sailed back in February, all right? Bring all those big ideas and suggestions. I mean, take notes all season. You can let us know all season, but that's the meeting where we want to talk about it with the whole group. Get the whole team in a huddle, throw some suggestions out. If they stick, that works. That gives us time to implement them, make the policy changes, get it all reviewed by safety, range, MWR, everybody else. So just a plug to attend that if possible. Look for it on iSportsman announcements towards the end of the season. That's what that meeting is for. You know, feedback on the season and suggestions for the next season. This meeting, not so much for that, but again, we'll entertain you. All right, map changes. I'm gonna let Shannon tackle this.
All right, guys, so in the off season, a lot has changed on the map. So bear with me and follow along. It might get a little confusing. So we've had 3 stands donated to us this season, which is awesome. We were able to put 2 of them in the Blackwater Swamp. They're not new locations. We just furnished unfurnished locations in 4 and 5. So those are now furnished. We also have put one on the range, and by put one, it's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, but it's planned to go in to G Central. There will be a furnished stand called 17B. Another change that's going on the range is the T17A. So that's a tower stand that you guys might have seen kind of in the middle of not in the middle, kind of off to the side of H North. It will be moving slightly north back to the wood line. So those are the changes on, I saw a hand though. Yes?
So for the furnished stand that's in G Central, will you still be able to hunt the north edge of G Central? That's where most of us hunted when we hunted G Central.
No, that area is now not going to be available to check out. It will just be that stand.
So
and
I
the
mean,
reason,
you took a whole area that a lot of people use for that stand. Is there?
No.
I mean, could you cut from the corner over and maybe make G Central 1 and 2? And again, that was a really popular area.
it is a very popular area. The reason that we put it in that section is because of advice from the people who work on the range, seeing deer always there.
That place where you put it, that's called the hook.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the people that hunt there, you can see the tree is, torn up and people climb it. That's the other place, but that's only one corner of it.
Yeah.
The rest of the people that hunt G Central, you took the whole north edge of that away. I mean, is there a way that you can just cut an angle to get that back?
G Central was only ever occupied by one person at a time.
Yes, I understand. I understand. I mean, I don't know if you were aware of how popular that was.
Yeah.
You've taken away the whole northern section by doing that. And you could easily fix it just by drawing a line, making G Central 1 and 2 like just my input. And there's other people that that hunt that and know what I'm talking about.
Sure. So, okay. I can run it by safety, but at this point, I doubt they're going to be able to weigh in on it, being 2 different areas. So we can use the stand there, or I can leave it open to just G Central.
So the stand hasn't been put in yet?
No. So whichever, show of hands.
Yeah, the work hasn't been done.
So we don't have to do the work.
How many hunters were in G Central originally?
Only one person at a time.
So,
Could use.
if they sign up for 17 Bravo, they still got G Central.
Yes.
No, it has to be in the stand.
She's saying you have to use
It has to
that
be in the
stand.
stand.
You have to use the
Same
stand?
applies to what John said, 20 yards around that stand
You
location.
can't go to that.
That's taken away.
What if you, and
Probably
I,
not a good decision.
I don't hunt G Central, but what if you just have it like you do today? You sign out G Central, you get to choose where you go. You might be in 17B, but you might be in your stand, but if only one person signs out, they got G Central, whether they're in that stand or they're
Basically,
climbing.
don't put the stand in there.
Yeah, that's what it
Just leave it, just don't put the stand in there. Yeah, leave the stands.
All deer hunting has to be from
So if somebody wants it.
So years ago,
Be quiet about it.
okay.
All right.
All right,
Yeah, they used to be.
are we good to move on? Or,
Are we going to, how are we going to work this? Is it going to be just G Central?
it sounds like no one wants to stand there.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
There was a time in the past where we had a stand just about in the same area you're talking about, as well as the food plot. It didn't pan out very well, just saying. Regardless of what the rest control may say, that didn't work out too well for us, having a stand there. There was a tower stand there at one time.
There's one other thing. If you, where they're seeing the animals is in the field. And if you're sitting in that stand, you're not supposed to shoot in the direction of the fields or the road, according to the regulation that's in place. You're supposed to be shooting right back in.
yeah,
You can't do that from that stand.
So basically, leave the stand.
yeah. Is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
leave the stand.
Nobody wants to stand there.
Yeah, the stand was intended to help people who didn't want to carry a climber in, but again, if that's not, if that's less helpful, we can put it somewhere else.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly right.
All right, I'm gonna move on to the other changes. All right. So, stand movement and renaming. So 15B, that was in TA 3, that has now been moved to TA 14 North, and it's called 14C. 24T, that was in TA 33, that is now moved to TA 16, and it's called 16T. That's the tower stand that was in there. So 8, this one's a little complicated. 8 from Blackwater Swamp. That used to be called a buddy stand, and that's because it was 2 single stands put up next to each other on trees. It wasn't a utilized spot very much, based on what Sportsman said, so I took one of those stands and I moved it to Jefferson Park hunting area and have now called it 33C. And then, let's see, 14. Was a stand that used to be in water in the Blackwater Swamp area. We have now moved it up the hill a little bit. It's right at the base of the landfill back there, and we've made it an archery-only site now. Since it's so close, it's on the landfill, and we don't want all weapons to go there. The only 2 stands that might still be in water, and that you guys might want to take note of in case you need muck boots, are going to be 9 and 10. Those are still in water. We might move them, but they seem to be in relatively good spots, so they might stay. That'll be in the future, not this season. So going back once, 14, your access is now from the TA 30 parking spot instead of the golf course parking spot. And then, yeah, that I think covers all of the big stand movements, renaming, and additions that went into the range and cantonment. Other things that you might see out there, we did a lot of work on the trails. One of the biggest complaints about the program was that nothing was marked well. No one could find their stands unless they'd been here for so long. It was a real hindrance to new hunters. So this off season, we have done so many volunteer events to have these trails marked well. There are still a little bit of inconsistencies with the trails. These were the old markers that were supposed to be along the trails. They are still out there, but now there's also these kind of markers. I also found out from some of our volunteers that some of you don't know that the colors mean something. Yellow leads you out of your stand. White leads you into your stand, just so you all know. In addition, you will find orange flagging tape always. I really tried to get away from flagging tape this year, but I just didn't have enough supplies to make it so we didn't need it. You should not get lost this year. If you get lost, I am suggesting you don't enter the woods. There are so many markers. It has been cleared pretty well now. I've gone to every single one of these stands and these stand locations. What else? In addition, this new map will be going on to Avenza as well. I highly encourage all of you to get it. So even if you do get lost somehow, Avenza will help you out. It will lead you out because it GPSes you while you're on the map. So it's really helpful. I'll probably be sending, it goes on to Avenza through our Sportsman connection. So I'll be sending the map to them by the end of this week, and it will hopefully be up by the start of this season. Let's see if I got anything else. Okay, other change. Just some other notes. Where you'll see the biggest trail changes, not only just marking, I have reworked a lot of the trails. So our other complaint was that some people had to walk right past someone else's stand, interrupt their hunt, safety issues. So I've reworked a lot of the trails. The biggest changes are going to be in TA11 and Blackwater Swamp. So TA11, 18A has its own trailhead. It always has. That's not a change. 18B and 19A now share just one. It used to have 18B, 19A, and 19B all on the same path, and they crossed over each other. So now it's just 18B and 19A that fork off. 19B has its own trail, and 19C now has its own trail. You'll also notice there's a new parking spot further down the power line that gets you closer to 19B and 19C. Let's see what else. Blackwater Swamp was the other big trail change. This also, if you've been here for longer, some of these might have been trails at one point that you already knew about, and these were direct paths for you. You knew how to get into them. Just follow the markers now. I think we're aligned with what like the most direct path to all these stands is now. But yeah, stay on the path. Don't chart your own. I've noticed flags popping up throughout the season that aren't a part of the approved trails. So now that they're marked, we expect you to use them. For Blackwater Swamp, DB5, 11 through 7, you're going to access from the golf course parking spot. And then the other side, 2, 3 to 6, and DB1 are all accessed from that A gate parking spot. For the TA11, the new parking spot, this is just a public service announcement. If you are going all the way down that power line to get to that parking spot, it does get muddy, it does get real rocky. Be careful of your cars. If you're not driving a four-wheel drive truck or a four-wheel drive vehicle, you might get stuck back there, so use it at your own risk. Yeah, I think that's everything with the maps. Any questions about that? Yeah.
Did you state the stand out of TA3?
TA3, 15B, yeah.
Good.
Yep. That was a suggestion at the after season meeting that we had, that 15B should be moved. And so that's why I got moved to 14. Any other questions? No? All right. Moving on.
All right. We're going to touch on the skin and shed real quick. Last season, early season, we had some issues with cleanliness. At the end of the season, things got much better. Let's keep it the way it was at the end of the season. All right, we had a lot of hard feelings early in the year, last year. Look, if you take anything animal related in that skin shed, you got to clean up after yourself. I mean, it's, you can use that for cleaning fish, whatever, but look, don't leave crap in the sink, the floor drain. There's a hose. There's dumpsters right at the back of this parking lot. Don't throw your crap up around the sheds. If you make a mess in there and gut an animal, the guts go down to those brown dumpsters at the back corner of the parking lot. All right, we had somebody put it in the wrong place last year. That's not gonna fly. The walk-in cooler, it's for your use. I mean, it makes venison like night and day difference. I recommend you utilize it. But clean it up. We got drip pans there now to catch most of the blood that's draining out of your animals. when you take your animal out, that drip pan goes and gets rinsed off. The walls around where your deer was hanging, wipe them down. The floor, we got mops, we got rags. Look, there's no excuse. Keep it cleaner than your house. And some of y'all, that bar might be low, but hey, I don't know what else to tell you. Look, that facility is shared by all of us. Don't ruin it for everybody.
We also have a new camera system in there so we can tell who was in there.
Excellent.
Good.
Yeah. Hey, if something's wrong in there, let us know. Either let Stephanie know, let one of us know, let Officer Joe, let somebody know that there's a leak or that the water's, anything. Please let us know, but otherwise there's no excuse. All right, that place should be cleaner than you left it. Police your own. Look, I get it. You've been dragging a deer out. It's 10 o'clock. You're trying to get home. I don't want to hear it. She don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. All right, look, clean it up or don't use it. Yes, sir.
If you have any new hunters, you need to remind them, do not lock that door on their way out.
Correct. That's a good reminder. So the gate leading to the skinning shed is just dummy locked. All right. The door leading to it does not need to stay locked. All right. That's common area for us, but you don't have to lock anything. Please don't lock anybody in or out. Again, just false lock is all we need there. So we're talking about locks, daisy chaining locks. This is only the few places where we have access gates, like the ordnance side or Blue Hill Road. But if there are two locks locked to each other and you unlock one, lock it back the same way. Don't lock the lock you unlocked to the chain, because we have other tenants and power companies, utilities that need to get in those gates. And if you lock our lock to the chain, now they got to cut our lock to get in there. Look, daisy chain, the two locks go together, right? So both of them unlock the chain, right? Just make sure everybody knows. If you didn't grow up on a farm, maybe that's one of those lessons you learned earlier. But, all right, just want to make sure that's clear. All right, all right, DMAP stuff. Real quickly here, because I already talked about it a little bit. Deer Management Assistance Program. That's what DMAP stands for. It's a statewide program to help landowners and club managers improve the health of their deer herd. This is not a harvest assistance program, it's a health assistance program. So while we love for you to harvest lots of deer, that helps us meet our management objectives. There are certain deer that are more helpful than others. And shooting spikes and button bucks and fawns are very low on the helpful list, all right? Again, if it's legal, I can't tell you not to kill it, but there will be consequences for fawns. You know, it's always been that way, well, at least since I've been here. Less than 60 pounds, it's not, you know, if it's a yearling deer, and we can determine that with jawbones, I can go over those with you later. If it's just a stunted yearling, look, you get a free pass. If it's a 58-pound doe from the previous year, there's nothing you can do about that. You get a free pass. But if it's under 60 pounds, it's clearly a fawn. It still has milk teeth. It still has spots. Its head is smaller than that bug spray can. That's instant suspension, right? We are managing our herd through age structure. So I won't get too deep in the weeds on the biology involved there, but we need those fawns to carry on the herd for years to come. Please shoot the lead doe that weighs 80, 90 pounds, not the third one in line that weighs 45 pounds. Right? Just help us keep this program helpful forever. I won't go a lot into the quality deer management thing, soapbox, but look, this deer was born probably 19 months before it was killed, you know, give or take, maybe less, maybe 16 months. If anybody recognizes this was hunter wounded and found later. You come get your trophy after this. I won't call you out in front of your peers, but again, this deer, lower jawbone was not recovered, but this was a very, very old, mature buck that was possibly hunter wounded. Nobody ever came forward because it was not in a hunting area, so I'd like to know for sure. Could have been old age, hard to say, but I mean, this deer's from here, this deer's from here. Only difference is age, y'all. Like this is like six years difference, but just give them time, we can have them. Same here. I mentioned these deer are still alive. They're still walking these woods. I don't know which it was. I saw one of these live on the hoof last season. He's going to be a stud this year, I can assure you. Just got to give him time. But please, again, we talked about this with some of y'all before we started. If you're here to feed your family, I'm pumped for you. I support that 100%. But otherwise, be patient. There's plenty of deer. Some of y'all don't believe me when I say that, but some of y'all know there's plenty of deer here. Plenty of harvest last year. Our harvest numbers last year per hour hunted were better than any surrounding military installation. So again, our total numbers might have only been 77 compared to 500 at Fort Barfoot or whatever, but our hours hunted per successful hunt were much higher than Eustis, Walker, Barfoot. So hey, just throwing that out there, y'all. There are plenty of deer here, and they're not that hard to kill. Just gotta be out there. Jawbones. Somebody messes this up every year, and it's not always the new guys. I'm not gonna point any names. We have to have at least one jawbone from every deer killed here. It's part of our state DMAP requirement. We have to turn in that jawbone. This is how we and the state age those deer to come up with those health metrics. So if we know a deer was 6.5 years old and it weighed 52 pounds, we know something's wrong, right? That's how we come up with all this great herd management data. It's through these jawbones. So we need good jawbones. These jawbones were physically removed by me. I'm not saying they're right, I'm just saying it's one way to do it. You can cut them off clean behind that very back molar. That's fine. You can cut them off farther back. You can pull the whole jawbone out with the hinge and everything. All these are acceptable jawbones, as long as none of these teeth are damaged. So one method is to use loppers, big pruning loppers, to go up inside the mouth and lop that hinge off to pull that lower jawbone out. That's fine, but sometimes people get carried away in there, whacking away, and you'll crush these back teeth. If that happens, we need both sides. So we want the right jawbone of every deer. If something happens during extraction, or your slug goes through the right side jawbone, or whatever story you want to make up, then we need the left jawbone. All right? Every deer has two sides to the jawbone. So this is a complete set out of a buck. They're normally together at the front when the deer's alive, right? It's a complete jaw. You can cut the whole thing out, the whole bottom lip, cut it down, you can peel the whole thing out. That's acceptable. We'll take them both still stuck together, as long as we have at least one good right one. If you screw up the right one, we need the left one as well, and you wire them together with your jawbone tag. All right, we will not accept just the left one. If you screw up the right one, we need both of them. If you do a good job on the right one, we only need the right one. All right, any questions on that? Somebody's gonna mess it up, I know, it happens every year, but
I'm not above asking people to go through a dumpster to find it, because I need those jawbones to get to the state.
This is a requirement. This is not an ask, this is a requirement. It's in the policy, you can't do this, you get suspended. All right, look, I don't like it to be like that, but we need them, so you need to give them to us. If you need help taking the jawbone out, call somebody. I mean, if it's 10:30 and I gotta work the next day, I might just send you a YouTube link, but it's not that hard, all right? We can get you some roadkill to practice on. We thought about it tonight, but time got away from me. But jawbone, we need those. Again, you can come look at examples afterwards. All of these are acceptable. I got some good age class differences too. If you want to learn how to age, we can talk about that all night. The other critical data that we need, antler measurements. You know what, I'll do the giant here, it's a little easier. All right, outside spread, you would think is explanatory and self-explanatory. So you take the widest point of the main beams or kickers, whatever you got, the widest point, and in inches, and this is all on the sheet that you fill it, you put this data. It tells you what units you use. In inches, you go to the widest point, round to the nearest eighth of an inch, and write that on your sheet. All right, that's what we need on antler spread. This only applies to bucks. If it's doe, you can line that section out. People mess that up too. No judgment here. All right, outside spread is one measurement we need on all bucks. The other one is beam diameter. So that's the main beam between the brow tine, if he has one, and the wide part of the pedicle. So that kind of mushroom at the base. We don't want the widest part of the pedicle. We don't want the brow tine. about halfway between the two. If he doesn't have a brow tine, kind of ballpark where it would be. I mean, this one, he's got a little nub, you can kind of eyeball it. So we need the diameter in millimeters. I don't know why the state goes inches and look, it's not hard. We didn't make it up. But the diameter, we provide these tools in the skinning shed for the new guys. It's even labeled use millimeters on the caliper, right? In case you didn't read the sheet you're filling out. So front to back of the antler, you take your reading, 12 millimeters. You go left to right, reading 14 millimeters. You average the two to get the average diameter. So the average 12 and 14 is 13, right? There's a complicated math equation to figure that out. But again, get us close, right? We've had some readings of like 480 millimeters. That's a red flag. We know you did something wrong. If you give us 4 millimeters, we know you did something wrong. But help us have accurate data. Again, this helps us help you set management goals, and you know, again, it's good data, but we need good numbers on that. If it's a big deer, that left to right, front to back difference can be dramatic. I mean, this side specifically, it's like almost twice the diameter. So that's where your average needs to be a little more scientific than just a guess. But this is also a good example. You don't take the reading at that widest point. You know, this isn't a competition for maximum beam diameter. There's no trophies for this. This is good data. So if there's an abnormality on that beam halfway between the brow tine and the base, like this nub or this extra kicker off the back, don't count that. Just come down a smidge, get a typical dimension. That's what we're going for here. Again, you're not going to impress us with your beam diameter. Just try to get us accurate measurement. If somebody wants to practice before they leave on any of these, I can walk you through it. It's not complicated. We appreciate accurate numbers there. Weights, same thing. The scale in the skinning shed, the battery operated one, we calibrated before the season, during the season. It was perfect. And then we had that real cold snap in December, and the battery's just nuked on it. And if you feel like the scale is not working right, some of you let us know. We appreciate that, because we're not in there every day. We don't know when the batteries, crap out. But again, if something feels off, you feel like this 10-point buck weighs more than 60 pounds, you're probably right. Let us know. We'll double check it. But again, that's things that we need to be right. That accurate weights, sloughing of hoofs. If more than 1 foot you have 2 toes on each hoof, if one of those black fingernail-like coverings is missing off of one of those toes, it'll be just like a little bony nub in there. Or if it's split all the way down, that's what we're looking for. Not really like a little chip or a little hairline crack down at the bottom. This is like serious damage to one of those toes. It's pretty obvious when you see it. That's a sign that deer has survived epizootic hemorrhagic disease, right? That's EHD. It's a really bad fever that deer gets that causes trauma to the body, but many deer survive it. That's a sign that deer contracted it, survived it, and is going to be fine the rest of its life. But those toes will usually grow back normally. But again, that's data that we need to help us know where those outbreaks occur. So if all the range deer have it, none of the Catoma deer have it, then know we need to kind of keep an eye on things over there. But milk present is only in does. Only in does. You need to slice through the udder when you're field dressing or skinning or whatever. Just slice right through the middle of it. If white milk spills out, you check yes, milk present. Right? We've seen it all the way through December, so just it's quick. It's no extra work. Just slice right through it. Let us know. I think those are all the DMAP criteria you need to mark on your sheet. A button buck has 0 points. It is a buck, but it has 0 points. We had some button bucks that were unclear how they were tagged. So it does not get tagged as a spike if it is a true button buck. It does not have bone visible above the hairline. If they're still fully covered in fur, it's a button buck. It's a 0-point buck. And you can note button buck down at the bottom just so it's clear. Again, just help us have accurate numbers, accurate reports. All right, I think that's all of the DMAP program stuff I have to cover. Safety representatives could not be here tonight, so I'm going to cover the safety piece real quick. Personally, I think number one for all of us, tick-borne illness. This is a huge safety concern. Permethrin is your best bet. This is an odorless insect repellent that you pre-treat your clothing with. It does not go on your skin unless you want to grow extra appendages and get cancer. But you pre-treat your boots and your clothing with it, let it dry. It's good for like 6 weeks. You know, follow the label instructions. But Sawyer's is like a Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods brand product. It's great stuff. It actually kills the ticks and chiggers when they get on you. It doesn't just repel them. It kills them. Use it. You know, again, this is for your benefit. Good stuff. DEET also works well as a repellent. Doesn't kill them, but most DEET products have a scent, like oily residue. So use what you got, but highly recommended. Blaze clothing. So anywhere that's general firearms stands, you gotta wear your blaze orange, blaze pink, whatever they're allowing in Virginia now. We follow Virginia, whatever blaze colors they're allowing, you can wear them here. If it's an archery only area all season, you don't have to wear it. All right, that's the only places you're exempt from that on post. Is a full season archery only area. Anytime you're not in the stand hunting, weapons are unloaded. Same with your crossbows. Bolts got to be out of the rail. No magazine in it if you're using a magazine-fed slug gun or something. You know, unloaded weapon, walking to and from, climbing up and down. Loaded in the stand, safety on. Weapon safety number one. We already covered it. Don't shoot toward roads, houses. I mean, know your direction. You know, just because the stand is facing this way, you should still know what's downrange. You know, when the leaves come off the trees, some of these stands are, you could probably see areas that you should not be shooting towards. Know that, all right? Keep your shot safe, always downhill. There are a few stands where you could probably shoot in a direction that might be level with you. Look, keep it safe, y'all. Don't ruin it for everybody. No deer is worth killing somebody. Buffer zones, we covered that. They're on the map. If you got questions about it, ask me. Know your target. GPS app. We've covered getting lost once. We'll cover it again. Avenza, great app. The old map is on there already. The new map will be on there once we get it finalized and signed off. But it's like a real-time GPS overlay on our hunting map. You can see where you're walking on the map. It's pretty cool. I think it costs $1, $2 or something.
Yeah.
My Sportsman gets that money. We don't get that money. But it's pretty cool.
What's it called again?
Avenza, A-V-E-N-Z-A. Avenza Maps. So you have to download the app and then search for Fort Gregg-Adams hunting map, and you download it through there. If you need help getting set up, there's plenty of folks here probably know how to use it. It's pretty cool. And you can use it at other places too, like Fort Barfoot uses it. Anybody that goes hiking up on Blue Ridge, out by the trail, tons of other uses. It's pretty handy. But again, not affiliated, but highly recommended. Can't get lost. You always know which way you're facing and what's around you. Safety violations, and this is, again, we only run into it once or twice a year, but blatant safety violations, not hunting, elevated at least 10 feet, man drives, hunting somewhere you're not supposed to, that's a minimum 30-day suspension. First offense, all right? Second offense, you're probably gone. We'll try you and hang you on that later, but minimum 30 days safety violations. All right? We can't play around with it, it's not tolerated. If you got questions, ask in advance. That's my suggestion. Anywhere from the range, want to do UXO, or I can cover it either way. All right, UXO is out there. We know that, especially if you're on the range side, there is a big area on your range map that is checkerboarded off in this yellow hatch pattern. That's a UXO area, right? It's known unexploded ordnance in that area. It's a keep out area. It's very well marked from what I'm told. New signage all the way down the boundaries. Don't push it. If your deer runs in there and you think it's worth pursuing, I'm gonna let Officer Jones. I'll let Officer Jones handle that one. But speaking of pursuing out of your area, if you do need to go outside of Fort Gregg-Adams property, on the private property or neighboring property, whatever, or even just outside of your hunting zone, but you gotta let somebody know. You can't blood trail one across the line. If you're gonna check out late, you need to let somebody know, right? Because you check out after 9 p.m., iSportsman automatically locks your account. And then when we get around to it, we'll unlock you, but that's on you. That's not us. So look, let somebody know if you're going to be late, blood trailing something, if you fell out of your stand, you're crawling. Look, let somebody know. All of our numbers are on iSportsman. You can find us, contact us, please. Again, we're here to help you be successful. Don't abuse it. UXO, the 3 R's. Recognize, retreat, report. You see something that looks not like an acorn or a pine cone on the ground, don't pick it up, don't kick it. You know, hang something in a tree near some type of marker. If you have something, walk back or drop a pin on your Venza map, even better, with a plug for Venza. Let somebody know, all right? We can have trained professionals go out and inspect it. It happens, we find stuff, unfortunately it's usually inert, but you don't want to be the one to make that call, so please help us out there. We've had suspected UXO right across the street over here, like a year or 2 ago. So again, it ended up being something inert, but it came in on a load of gravel. Again, this applies everywhere. Any questions on anything that we've covered so far? Anything to add that I forgot? All right, that's a good point. So stands that are unfurnished, we mentioned they have a 20-yard radius for your climber stand. Blackwater Swamp, we realize some of those stands are close together. If the stands are only 50 yards apart, that 20 and 20 aren't going to work, all right? Please use your judgment there. If you know there's a stand, the stands are on the map, you know how far apart you are. Don't use the 20-yard rule to get closer to somebody else or some other hunting area, right? This is just to allow you to find a suitable tree as close to the designated location as possible. That's the intent. Again, don't abuse it or we'll just cut down every tree except that one. That doesn't help anybody. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, sir.
You spoke about squirrel hunting. What about rabbit hunting? So that's the idea.
Rabbits gonna be the same as squirrels, so you can shoot them out of your deer stand during deer season, but that's it. That's all we can allow at this time. So, still no. So I guess once upon a time there was rabbit hunting on the range complex allowed, but that's out for now. The dogs still a no-go. We didn't mention Mathematics River Line. You want to just mention that? I'll mention that. Yeah. Since there were so many waterfowlers, some of you will recognize the Appomattox River, the western boundary of the range side. There used to be a duck blind out there at the tip of that blue peninsula that shoots out across the landfill. It is no longer a part of Fort Gregg-Adams hunting program. There were a lot of gray areas with its legality and whose property you're parking on and access issues, and it was never utilized. So, or simplify things, it's no longer ours. Right? It's untagged, so all you waterfowl rule gurus, you can paddle your butt from Roslyn Landing down to Appomattox and you can hunt in it, but it ain't ours. So again, for better or worse, it's no longer available in iSportsman to hunt access through Fort Gregg-Adams. We're trying to get it relocated, so if anybody wants to volunteer to saw it down and carry it over to the swamp, maybe we can work something out. Give us after this. But, yeah, all right. I think that's everything I was supposed to tell you. Follow-ups from the range?
Be safe.
Please.
Keep doing what you've been doing.
Absolutely. All right. FNWR. All right. Skin shed, cooler. Don't mess this up, y'all. I'm telling you. It will be locked if y'all mess it up.